From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story tonight. Moving into central Rafah, Israel has left 1,000 homes destroyed in the Jabalia refugee camp in northern Gaza after a 20-day military campaign. The Palestinian Red Crescent Society has warned that the delayed recovery of bodies could lead to disease outbreaks in northern Gaza. On Friday, Israeli forces targeted several areas across Gaza, with air raids reported around Rafah. Israel's incursions into Rafah began in early May, despite international concerns for civilian safety. According to the Euromed Human Rights Monitor and Al Jazeera, 3 volunteers were killed in central Gaza while cooking food for the hungry. UN experts are calling for decisive international action against Israel for its assault on Rafah. That includes sanctions and an arms embargo. Jens Lark from the UN Humanitarian Office emphasized the lack of adequate food supplies to prevent famine. The World Health Organization's Margaret Harris reports a severe decline in dietary diversity amongst children. The Palestine Media Office reports severe shortages of fuel, propane, and medicine since the Rafah crossing was seized. More than 98% of Gaza's bakeries have been forced to close, while more than 700 water wells have stopped functioning. At least 36,224 Palestinians have been killed, and 81,777 are wounded in Israel's war in Gaza, which began last October. Israel stands accused of genocide at the International Court of Justice. In its latest ruling, the World Court ordered it to immediately halt its operations in Rafah. The disappearance of doctors has become a disturbing trend in Gaza. The World Health Organization reports that at least 214 medical staff have been detained by Israeli forces. The situation garnered international attention when Dr. Adnan al-Borsh, a prominent surgeon from Al-Shifa Hospital, died in April under detention in Israel's Ofer prison, which is located in the West Bank. Al-Borsh's death, believed to be due to torture, has prompted calls for an independent investigation. The Palestinian Health Ministry reports that 493 Palestinian medical workers have been killed in Gaza over the past 7 months. Israeli forces have targeted hospitals, alleging they harbor fighters, a claim denied by Gaza's medical staff. Recent attacks on Kamal Adwan and Al-Auda hospitals have seen more detentions of medical personnel. The escalating assault has led to dire conditions, with doctors sharing harrowing scenes from hospitals under the siege. A U.S. aid contractor is the latest government staff member to resign in protest of America's handling of Israel's war on Gaza. The Guardian reports that Alexander Smith, who worked on gender and child health, was forced to resign or be dismissed after preparing a paper on Palestinian child and maternal mortality. His resignation letter criticized U.S. aid's inconsistent treatment of global crisis. It highlights the agency's neglect of Palestinian rights compared to its support for Ukraine. Smith's departure follows that of State Department official Stacey Gilbert, marking the 8th resignation from the federal government over President Joe Biden's pro-Israel stance in its war on Gaza. Josh Paul, ex-director of Congressional and Public Affairs at the Bureau of Political Military Affairs, was the first to resign in late October. Since then, vast swaths of Gaza have been razed and tens of thousands of innocent civilians have been killed in Israel's war on the region. And in related news, Lily Greenberg Call, a Jewish American formerly appointed by President Joe Biden to the United States Interior Department, has publicly resigned. Call cited the president's alleged endorsement of genocide in Gaza. In an opinion piece for The Guardian, Call condemned Biden's actions. She said they have weaponized Jewish safety to justify atrocities in Gaza. Call stressed her familial connection to Jewish history and highlighted the plight of Palestinians amid the ongoing conflict, expressing concerns for the safety of Palestinians and Israelis. She also criticized Biden's failure to push for a lasting ceasefire and his support for Israel without addressing Palestinian concerns. Call said she descends from Jewish Americans who escaped Europe and survived violent persecution, and that she feels the weight of this history every day. She resigned on May 15th, the anniversary of the Palestinian Nakba, or catastrophe, when millions of Palestinians were expelled from their land by Zionists in 1948, with support from Britain for the formation of modern Israel. Call said Biden perpetuates catastrophic policies reminiscent of historical tragedies like the Holocaust and Nakba. The U.S.-built $320 million floating pier for Gaza proves ineffective. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. The $320 million floating pier constructed by the United States to facilitate aid delivery to Gaza has proven ineffective. The pier became operational mid-May and has received a sporadic supply of aid. According to the government media office in Gaza, less than 100 aid trucks entered Gaza through the pier. The situation worsened in recent days as the pier was damaged by strong tides and will take a while to be repaired. On Wednesday, a Pentagon spokesperson said the pier will be removed from its location on the Gaza coast over the next 48 hours. It will be taken to the Israeli port of Ashdod, where the U.S. Central Command will carry out repairs. Even when the pier is operational, Gaza authorities and international aid organizations confirmed it cannot be an alternative to land crossings for the entry of humanitarian aid. On Wednesday, UN spokesperson Stéphane Dujarric told reporters aid deliveries to Gaza have decreased by 67% since the closure of the Rafah crossing on May 7th. The Council on American Islamic Relations has strongly condemned a violent police raid on a Wayne State University in Detroit on Friday morning. The raid targeted students advocating for awareness of war crimes in Gaza and Palestinian living conditions. According to reports, WSU and Detroit police officers surrounded and detained peaceful protesters. According to reports, 2 Muslim women had their hijabs forcibly removed. CARE Michigan, along with the National Lawyers Guild, are supporting the protesters, with Executive Director Dawood Walid criticizing the raid as politically motivated. He is calling for the immediate release of detainees. CARE Michigan also intends to pursue legal action against the university and the involved law enforcement agencies. Ex-President Donald Trump's historic conviction has sent shockwaves across the nation, evoking a spectrum of emotions from outrage to elation. A New York jury has found Trump guilty on 34 counts of falsifying business records related to hush money payments during the 2016 election. Trump's conviction marks the first time a former U.S. president has been found guilty of a felony. However, it does not disqualify him for running for office. Republican lawmakers are expressing fury, questioning the legitimacy of the trial. House Speaker Mike Johnson called it a shameful day in American history. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell, who is traditionally reticent on Trump and the presidential race, defended Trump after the guilty verdict. McConnell criticized Manhattan District Attorney Bragg and predicted success when the verdict was appealed. This unexpected move hints at GOP unity, possibly rallying skeptics to Trump's side. The party's shift towards Trump may stem from dwindling alternative prospects for the party's presidential nomination. Meanwhile, Democrats are rejoicing. Senator Chris Murphy emphasized that Trump's conviction demonstrates the rule of law. President Joe Biden has so far remained silent. ABC News reports that Biden and his team are brainstorming to forcefully take on Trump following the guilty verdict. The sentencing is set for July 11th, just before the Republican National Convention. Trump faces the potential for prison time and a lengthy appeals process. This conviction adds to his legal battles, including 3 other criminal cases as he campaigns to return to the White House. In related news, around the world, far-right leaders voiced their support for Donald Trump, while others refrained from commenting on Thursday's judicial verdict. Russia's Kremlin has condemned the decision, labeling it a de facto elimination of political rivals. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said both legal and illegal means are being used to remove political opponents. Italy's Deputy Prime Minister Matteo Salvini called Trump a victim of judicial harassment and hoped for his victory, seeing it as a beneficial for world peace. Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban praised Trump's tenure and urged him to keep fighting. Japan's Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi refrained from direct comment but noted Tokyo's close monitoring of the situation. UK Labour leader Keir Starmer emphasized respect for the court's decision while highlighting the enduring US-UK relationship. Nigel Farage, a prominent supporter of Brexit, declared the verdict a disgrace and predicted a significant win for Trump in November's presidential election. President Joe Biden is urging the Black community to back him in the upcoming elections, emphasizing their pivotal role in his victory and the defeat of Republican contender Donald Trump. During a speech in Philadelphia, Biden highlighted his administration's investment in Black America, emphasizing economic opportunities, access to capital, and workforce training. He pledged continued support for racial equity and diversity, underscoring the diversity in his administration. With about 244 million eligible voters for the November 2024 elections, Biden aims to secure a second term. According to the Pew Research Center, the number of eligible Black voters is projected to reach 34.4 million in November. Observers say Biden's appeal underscores his efforts to secure broad support, particularly from minority communities. On Thursday, the U.S. boycotted a United Nations tribute to late Iranian President Ibrahim Raisi, who died earlier this month in a helicopter crash. Nate Evans, spokesman for the U.S. mission to the United Nations, said the U.S. will not attend the tribute event for Raisi in any capacity. He said the UN should be standing with the people of Iran, and Raisi was involved in numerous horrific human rights abuses. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres and Dennis Francis, President of the General Assembly, addressed Assembly delegates after a minute of silence was observed. Congressional Representatives Ayanna Pressley and Chrissy Houlihan are urging the Defense Commissary Agency to provide more halal and kosher food options in military grocery stores. They argue the current limited offerings fail to meet the needs of service members and their families with religious dietary requirements. This potentially discourages diversity in the armed forces. Lawmakers emphasize the importance of ensuring access to foods that respect religious traditions. They urge the agency to work with service members to promote and incorporate these options, particularly during religious holidays. The push for greater diversity in commissary offerings is endorsed by groups like the National Military Family Association and the American Logistics Association. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. Your support is needed more than ever to continue our mission of providing informative, educational, and inspiring content to Muslims in North America and around the world. Donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.